there, my name is Amy Small. For those of you that might not know me, I own and run a small business called Knit Collage that I started just about 12 years ago. So it's been a while. At Knit Collage, along with a small yet mighty team, we design hand-spun yarns. They're super unique and happy, and knitting patterns. We also host knit-alongs twice a year that are a way to share all the things that we love here at Knit Collage. So we share the knitting, the yarn, teaching, community, creativity, and mindfulness. So here's where I was when I started knitting. I began my knitting career around 20 years ago, and I was so clueless. I was in college. I bought so much gorgeous yarn. It was expensive, and it never became anything more than a half knitted project because I didn't know how to get help. I didn't know how to get support and learn those hard techniques you need to finish a sweater. So despite not knowing what I was doing, I kept somehow accumulating more and more yarn. I was a crafty, creative person, or I thought. I just couldn't stay away from it. And the yarn was calling to me. It was inviting me to come and play with it, to dance with it, to lean into the creativity I knew was inside me, to learn those new techniques and to challenge myself. So at this time, I was going it alone. I was a solo knitter. I had no knitting wolf pack. I didn't have one single friend that knit who could help clue me in on what a whip was or what the difference between all the weights of yarn are. There was nobody cheering me on or supporting me. So this lasted years and years, and it wasn't until I established my yarn spinning business a decade later that I felt slightly more knowledgeable as a knitter. Although I still hadn't knit a sweater at that point. I didn't have many knitting friends. I knew very, very few techniques, but I was a smidge better. So what I realized along that long and lonely knitting path is that knitting, even though I wasn't an expert, had taught me so much about myself, and it had freed up this pent-up creativity that got stamped out of me growing up in a world that celebrates conformity. Making things helped me discover that inner creative that permeates every single thing I do now and how I live. It's totally changed me. I'm more free to let what's in my heart come out on the needles in this flow of creative self-expression. And I simply feel more like myself, and I care less about what everybody else thinks about me. And let me tell you, it feels so good. I highly recommend. So of course, knitting goes beyond just creativity. That's my favorite benefit it's given to me, but knitting has also helped me practice patience, something I struggle with a lot with my 3 boys. And it's helped me come to this crazy realization that I can figure anything out. I might need help, but I can figure it out and I can fix it. If I can learn and knit a complicated lace chart, if I can cut into my sweater and steek it, then I can most definitely tackle whatever problem I'm facing in my business, whether it's inventory or accounting, or even a tough parenting problem at home that I'm facing with one of my boys. So that moment you finish that tricky stitch, or you complete your first sweater, or really any project, you feel incredible. You feel on top of the world. You're ready to go kick some butt. And that confidence ripples out into all that I do. And I see this in our community too. And I can see that this has this amazing effect on them and the way that their family sees them too. They're more confident in their own skin, more likely to take on challenges in their own lives. All of these struggles, figuring out how to knit and actually finish projects, were not in vain. They took me a long time, took me about 15 years, but they were not in vain because they helped me figure out what would have benefited me back then, right when I was starting out, when I was a beginner. Maybe even more powerfully, I learned what would benefit me now as an intermediate, always learning knitter on the hunt for that next exciting project and a group of friends, a wolf pack, to share that journey with. So that is how our biannual knit-alongs came to be here at Knit Collage. and they go way beyond your normal knit along. If you've never joined in, I encourage you to try it this coming April. But through these events, a group of knitters gathers and we grow, we learn, we get creative, we connect. It gets a little weird in the best possible way, and we form new bonds and friendships. So our fall knit along wrapped up recently, and it was so much fun. New and experienced knitters joined in. There were incredibly gorgeous projects. We tackled lots of difficult things. Many knitters joined in and did their first colorwork project, knitting in the round, first sweater, first steeking project. It was so much fun to see these knitters tackle these projects, finish them, complete them, and stick with it. So we just finished that up after 8 weeks. And what I realized last year when I started our Creative Knitters group was that I was looking for a way to keep that conversation going. And that conversation is simply geeking out about yarn, learning new techniques, our favorite patterns, not just Knit Collage, our tools, and of course, cheerleading each other with heartfelt love for what we were all making. And underneath that fun part of geeking out about the yarn is this underlying thread that connects us. It's this thread that we all know in our hearts that knitting makes us better versions of ourselves, better parents, more patient, better co-workers, more confident, better friends, more caring, and the list goes on and on. And that's really the thread that connects this group. So with all this in mind, this knit along's ending and wanting to keep connecting, I came up with this really simple membership idea. And it ties into our knit alongs, but it really goes beyond those knit along experiences. So I would love to invite you to join in, go deeper with me. It is a lot of fun. The Creative Knitters group started a year and a half ago with a very small group of founding members, and a year and a half later, we are still going strong. We open up the membership twice a year, and I have made incredible friends and connections. It sounds crazy, but virtually through Zoom, through Instagram and social media that I can't imagine living without. And I know that that goes beyond just me. I've heard this from our community members over and over again. So there are parts of this Creative Knitters group that tie into our business here at Knit Collage, but many that go beyond our yarns and our patterns. So I want to tell you a little bit about it in nitty-gritty detail right now. So what do you get when you sign up? So first thing you get is this video vault, and I have spent the past year and a half building out the video library here. This is especially beneficial to beginner and intermediate knitters, but everyone's going to find something to learn here. It is yours forever, and it's hosted on Teachable. So right when you join in, you get access to over 130 video tutorials. This is simple basics like how to read a yarn label, what's the difference between all the different yarn weights, our favorite tools here at Knit Collage, simple cast on and knit stitch tutorials. This is all the stuff that I wish I had known when I started knitting. I can remember like searching YouTube for the things I needed, and it was painful. It's hard to find good video tutorials on YouTube, and this is just your one-stop place for simple, clear tutorials. You'll also find much more advanced tutorials like short rows, everyone's favorite, color work, lace, charts, blocking, brioche, intarsia, so much more. The second thing is events. So we've leaned into this a lot in the past 6 months. We host 1 to 2 teaching events a month. The first event we did was how to add bead and sequins to your knitting with Brazilian teacher Paula Pereira. We've also learned how to tie-dye professionally with the Neon Tea Party. These are just a few. We've had quite a bit. We've had interviews with knitting celebs like Gay Glaspie, Gigi of Gigi Made It, and Stephen West of West Knits, where I asked them about their creative journey. Those have been a lot of fun. Team members from Knit Collage also lead us in events. So Laurel taught us how to fix our mistakes, all the mistakes, even when it gets super ugly. And Cheryl taught us recently how to add curly fiber locks to a collar for that ultimate show-stopping accessory you can add to any sweater or jacket. Every December, we also host a very fun holiday trivia party, complete with a signature cocktail or mocktail recipe for you to choose, fancy dress encourage, and loads of prizes. So last December, we gave out, I think, over $500 worth of prizes, which was so much fun. And the really exciting thing we're switching up this year is we are adding in our first ever virtual retreat for the end of February. So this comes free with your membership, and the hope is that someday, hopefully in 2022, we'll see how the pandemic progresses, that we'll be able to meet in person potentially. But the one in February is all on Zoom, and we're going to feature some celebrity fiber artist teachers, community members, and Knit Collage team members, and they're all going to teach us on different virtual classes. So these are going to include how to take better pictures of your hand knits, how to master the tubular cast on and cast off, and so much more. It's jam-packed 2 days of classes. You're also going to see a behind-the-scene look into my spinning process, our spring designs that we plan to release in April for the next knit along. And then the last thing is we'll have a little mindfulness bent on it, led by me and my other friend and teacher, Jeannie. We're gonna have some fun community sessions too. So lots and lots packed into that virtual event. The next thing is community. So community is ingrained in the culture here at the Creative Knitters, and it's so much more fun to knit and make things with a group who completely gets it, shares that excitement for that yarn, that pattern, whatever it is that you are making. So we host community in our Facebook group. You are free to join or not. The rest of the community is on Zoom. So we host these twice a month, and usually they're a weekend morning and a weekday night. And then this is in addition to the events that we host 1 or 2 a month too. They're all recorded, so you can join in or watch them later if you feel moved. So this is a great place to interject that whatever your skill set, it is all good. I am still learning. After 20 years of knitting, I am still learning so much. You're never done, right? So whether you're beginner knitter, intermediate, or super expert, we welcome you into the community with open arms. And my hope is that this is a community where all of us feel comfortable to share our wins, share our failures, because that's part of knitting, right? I had to share recently that my most recent West Stitch shawl I was knitting was off by 130 stitches. That was embarrassing, but it happens, right? So this is a safe space, welcoming for whatever your skill set, whatever your gender, your body, any race. This is a safe, welcoming space for you, and no unkindness will be tolerated. So over on Zoom, we are constantly thinking behind the scenes here at Knit Collage how to make that experience better for you. And we have some new call formats that I am so excited to unveil and try with you guys. So this means different types of breakout rooms that you get to join on your own, and some funny and thought-provoking questions to foster deeper connection. They're all going to be centered around making, just about, how can we connect in a deeper way and add more structure to these calls. So let's talk about help, because what happens when you realize that you have made a seemingly fatal error in your knitting and you have no idea what to do. You need help, or else the entire project may be tossed in the trash. This is where I was when I started knitting. This is why I never completed a project. So we've come up with something really cool, and it's a way for you to get help. There are help sessions with our 2 knitting teachers, Cheryl and Anne, when you need it. And it does not need to be a project that you knit with Knit Collage yarn or a pattern you knit with Knit Collage yarn. It can absolutely be anything. And I encourage you to bring anything to the table that you need help with. So how it works is you sign up for a 30-minute time slot with one of our knitting instructors, and then we have a process. You get an email with a Zoom link, sign up, You meet them on Zoom and then they help you out. You can think of it as your virtual knitting teacher. And my hope is that this will get you to finish more projects, that you'll get that help you need so that you're not blocked and stuck and discouraged by your knitting. So one of the other things I love to talk about is creativity. And we kind of touched on that in the beginning because it's my favorite benefit that knitting has given me. And you can think kind of the Creative Knitters group as your creativity accountability partners. We will be encouraging you to lean into your most creative self so that you can feel that freedom of self-expression that I spoke about. And this is where we encourage you to get free, get weird, whatever it might be, however you show up. It could be all black, it could be sophisticated, whatever it is, or it could be kitchen sink, grandma chic, like what I do. Whatever it is, I want to encourage you to lean into that, and you'll see in the community that comes out in all different ways and all different aesthetics. And we're going to be encouraging you to do that. So we do have some unofficial knit-alongs that we lead. Right now we're in the middle, we're about halfway through of this unofficial slow-paced West Knits shawl, or West Knits knit-along, not just a shawl. If you wanted to knit a sweater, you could join in. I'm about halfway through a penguano. My penguano sweater that I knit by him is the thing that really freed my creativity, so I love encouraging people to knit that. So I'm about halfway through that. I hope to finish it in the year time slot. That will be in about July. So we'll encourage you to join in on that if you feel moved. So winding down, one of the last things you get is early access to all the knit-alongs. So you get 1 to 2 days, mostly 2 days early access to all of the knit-along kits. And if you've joined in a knit-along before, you know that we sell out of yarn really quickly. So this will give you that little leg up to make sure you get the colors that you love. I don't think we've had one person in our Creative Knitters group ever not get the colors that they wanted. So you get that first dibs. So some of you might not know that all of our yarn is handmade in India. It takes a very long time to make. It's very time intensive. And at the same time, the virus has taken this toll on the lead time because of this shipping crisis, which I'm sure all of you have heard about in the news. So the lead times that I am working with are just getting longer and longer, and it means I have to decide earlier and earlier like what to order, and it's really, really tricky, and it makes it harder to order with a lot of accuracy. So even though I try so hard, getting that early access, that's going to mean that you definitely get the yarn and the color you want. Otherwise, it's a gamble. All right, so I also surprised you with a fun holiday gift. This year's holiday gift did not disappoint. I think everybody was really happy. You also get loads of free patterns and small perks surprised sprinkled at you, like free shipping and early access to all the other kits we offer during the year. So around Black Friday, if we have a special new sweater pattern, you're gonna get that too. Last thing, you get a $10 credit to use on the Knit Collage website every month, and this accrues every month. So if you don't use it every month, it rolls over. You could save them all up to use for the knit along if you're inclined. They never go away. Even if you cancel your membership, you'll still have your points that you accrued to use. So I think that is everything. It's quite a lot. The cost is $38 a month, a cost that we may increase because the value that we offer through these events or through this membership keeps getting bigger. And the value is really all the events that we're offering now that we never used to do. So we're going to open registration for 1 week only. Then we're going to have a little onboarding party for everybody. And this happens twice a year. So I mentioned it happens now, and then we'll open it most likely again in July of 2022. There's a chance we don't. If we get a bunch of members, we might just wait. So this time around, you have the option to sign up for a monthly membership, or you could sign up for a yearly membership. And if you decide to go that route, you save about $50. So registration opens on Wednesday, February 2nd at 10 a.m. Eastern time, and it stays open for 1 week. So we will close midnight, February 9th. And then that's where the fun begins. So right when you join, you get access to the video vault, to the community, and then our first welcome Zoom call is February 10th. So right after you've joined, we have a big old welcoming call for you. It is leaning into the creative adventure that is knitting, really pushing you to lean into that element of it. So if you have any questions, I would love to hear them. I'd love to hear about what aspect of this excites you, anything at all. I'd love to hear. I just can't wait to connect and encourage you to join in. Thank you so much.